Hey, it's Tina Forsyth here. One of my favorite growth concepts is something that I learned from this amazing book, The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks, which is a book I read many moons ago now, probably 6, 7 years ago, I think that I first read this book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, but one of my favorites is this idea of the different zones of action, the different zones of taking action in which our activities fall. So basically there's 4 zones. There's the zone of incompetence, meaning these are the things we're just not good at. My lawnmower's broken. It doesn't matter what I do. I won't be able to fix it. That's something I'm totally incompetent at. Then the zone of competence. The zone of competence are these activities, these tasks that we can do, but other people can do them just as well as us. So I can absolutely figure out tech stuff and like send in one of my e-zines from Infusionsoft, for example. But that is something that other people can do just as well as me, if not better. They're better than me at the tech piece, quite honestly. So zone of competence, it's stuff I can do, but other people can do it just as well. Zone of excellence. The zone of excellence is the area where you do really great work. It's the space that people want to receive the work from you. So it's the space where when you're in business, it's quite often the things that clients want to hire you for, that they're asking you for. It's the stuff that for the most part, you've probably already created success in your business, in your zone of excellence. It's the things that you do really, really, really well, really well. And then there's the zone of genius. And the zone of genius is where you are doing the work that you are uniquely suited to do. So when I first learned this concept, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like zone of incompetence, zone of competence, zone of excellence, zone of genius. The whole thing makes a lot of sense. The one thing that always struck me though was not knowing what the hell my zone of genius was, and really not I understood the concept, but I didn't know where and how to see that in myself. Now here's an interesting thing about the zone of excellence, and again, just reading this right from the book here. The zone of excellence is actually a very seductive zone. These are the activities that you do extremely well, and you can make a great living in your zone of excellence. And for successful people, this zone is seductive. It's even comfortable. It becomes a bit of a safety zone. And as such, it actually can become a bit of a trap. It can become a bit of a trap. And I've been sharing a lot lately about the dark night of the business soul, about my own experience, and I know many of you are relating to this, of hitting a place in my business where it's just not enough anymore. There's something else. There's something I'm missing. And part of what I've come to recognize is that the dark night of the business soul journey is really the journey between the zone of excellence and the zone of genius. And so how do you know when you're bumping up into your zone of genius? What are some signs you can look for? What are some clues, especially when you have no friggin' idea what it would be? No idea what it would be. I'm pretty darn clear on my zone of excellence. I'm great with systems and team and getting stuff done and laying things out and planning, and I'm known for all of this stuff. I've built businesses around this. I did this for years with clients. I've created programs to help other people do this. I'm great at helping people learn to run and lead their business. But the zone of genius part is kind of like, that's a space that's always eluded me. And what I've come to recognize in this dark night of the soul journey for myself is that, wait a minute, everything that's been going on is that zone of genius knocking at the door. And so here's a few clues that you might find helpful for yourself, especially if you're in that space of like, you know your zone of excellence, you know what you're great at, you've made a great living there. That's what people want from you. And in many ways it's comfortable and it's safe, but clue number 1 is it is no longer satisfying. It's no longer satisfying. And one of the toughest things for me to be able to embrace and recognize in recent months, in the past 6 months in particular, is to be able to say, you know what? I'm actually really tired of doing that work now. I had somebody share with me recently, I love the way she put this. She's like, I'm really tired of building a business that I don't even want anymore. One of the first signs that pops up when you're in this space between the two, your sort of zone of excellence, bumping into zone of genius, is you start to dislike your zone of excellence work. And this can be very unsettling because for many of you, myself included, this is the work that got me to where I am. These are the things that people still want to hire me for. These are the things that where I've done great work and I've been able to make a good living. These are the things that I've become known for. And yet, here I am sitting here going, no, don't want to do it. And that can feel like a dirty little secret for a while. And so if you're bumping up into that space, I'm not saying you have to go shout it from the mountaintops. I'm not saying you have to make any big old changes or announcements or any of that kind of stuff. But what I really want you to do is to first be able to recognize it. If you're starting to feel dissatisfied in your zone of excellence, that's because it's your zone of genius knocking at the door here. Now, the second sign that comes up here is you start to get a sense of what this zone of genius might be. You start to get a sense of what this might be. But then the worry, doubt, and fear kicks in. Worry, doubt, and fear kicks in. This is a space where a lot of that, who the heck do you think you are? There's no way. There's other people who do this already. They do it so great. There's just no way you could. What the hell are you thinking? You're irresponsible. You could never do this. This is where all this worry, doubt, fear kicks in again at another level. And it's interesting because when I look back over my own personal journey, there's absolutely been worry, doubt, and fear at every stage along the way. But this worry, doubt, and fear has been a little bit different because I really believe that the zone of genius is the space where it actually matters. The thing that we want to do, the thing that's starting to kind of pique our interest, the thing that's really starting to pop up and brew and bubble around us, even if you're not 100% sure about it yet, it just comes side by side with all of this worry, doubt, fear. This is the reason why it's the dark night of the business soul, because we have to be able to kind of wade through the muck, so to speak, and really be with that and really look at it and honor it. And at the same time, not let it take us down, not let it stop us. One way you can distinguish between something that's zone of excellence versus something that would be zone of genius is, zone of excellence, let's be real. It kind of doesn't matter that much. It's like, yes, we want to make a great living. You've probably made a great living there already. People want it from you. You can do good work there. But if it didn't work out, it'd kind of be like, meh, oh well, not the end of the world. Life goes on, sort of thing. But zone of genius work, when you start to think about zone of genius work, what really can kick in here is if that didn't work out, that would hurt at a much deeper level. If that didn't work out, it would matter. It would matter. It would cut deep. It would really be like, whoa, wait a minute, sort of space. And this is part of why that journey from zone of excellence to zone of genius can be so friggin' challenging. Because it takes a boatload of friggin' courage to stand and look your zone of genius in the eye and to be able to say, I want to put myself out there this way. I want to be able to connect differently. I want to work differently with people. I want to share differently. I want to bring out another message. I want to bring out another layer of who I am and the work that I'm meant to do. But what if it didn't work out? What if it didn't work out? What would that mean then? And to be able to look that in the eye, that just takes a ton of courage. To be able to look it in the eye and continue to take steps regardless. That takes a boatload of courage. I really want to honor that in you today because believe me, do I friggin' get it. It's the journey I've been on for a couple of years now. It's the journey I'm helping clients through right now. And it's also the journey that I'm continuing to work through. I'm very much at the tail end of it, but every step requires so much courage. Every step requires us to be willing to look that in the eye to look the what ifs in the eye. What if it doesn't work out? What if it does? I mean, any what if has two sides to the coin too, which is really fascinating. Another sign that you're bumping up into the zone of genius is your zone of excellence just flat out stops working. And this is one that can be extraordinarily annoying. It can be frightening. It can also be unsettling. And I'm seeing this happen with quite a few people right now. And it's very much an interesting, almost like a phenomenon. That might be a strong word for it, but it's certainly happening often enough that I've caught notice of it, where, and it's been happening with me too, where the stuff that's been working for so long, that zone of excellence stuff that we've been doing forever and ever and ever and ever, all of a sudden stops working. And for no reason. For no reason. Suddenly clients dry up. Suddenly, the things you've done before that have always worked really well stop working. And it's not about finding just another strategy, another marketing thing, another whatever. That can come into play. There's always versions of business where we need to continue to adapt and grow. But it's something a little bit deeper where it's sort of like, it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what else I try here. It is just not working anymore. And I really like to look at that as it's sort of one of those bigger knocks, knocks from your zone of genius, from your higher self, from source, from God, whatever that is for you. Where if you've been trying to avoid this journey, if the zone of genius has been tapping at your door for a while now, and you're just not listening to it, then guess what? Your zone of excellence is going to get ripped out from under you at a certain point. And it forces us. It forces us to pause. It forces us to take stock. It forces us to say, okay, what's next? What's next? What does this mean? Who do I want to become in this moment? Who do I want to become? It also clears the decks to be able to actually see what's brewing and bubbling for you in your zone of genius. And so as much as it can suck, as much as it can be hard. I mean, there's financial implications, there's emotional implications, there's emotional, I don't know if that's a word, but where it's like, I define myself this way and everybody thinks of me this way. What does this mean? What are people going to think? There's that kind of stuff that pops up in this space. But the truth is, when your cup of water is already full and there's something else and you want to pour more water in, what happens? You can't. The cup's already full. You can't pour any more water in. So it gets to the point where that water glass needs to be poured out. It'll be poured out in spite of ourselves. Our higher selves will pour it out in spite of our lower selves in order to make room for what's next, in order to make room for this zone of genius work that's knocking at the door. And so I wanted to share this with you today just to, if you are anything like me, where it's sort of like zone of excellence, got it, great, 2 thumbs up, it's all good, and there's something else. And I feel like something else is bubbling and brewing. And you're feeling some of these signs. You're noticing some of the things that I'm mentioning here today. My zone of genius work right now is to help people work through this dark night of the business soul. It's deeper work. It's frightening work. It's all kinds of things in so many ways. And so I really invite you to just be open to it. The more you try to fight it, the harder it gets. By all means, if you want to reach out and connect with me directly, I would love to hear some of what's going on with you. I would love to share some of what I'm creating if you're looking for support in this area. And really just trust and know that all of this is happening for a reason. All of this is happening for a reason. It rarely happens when it's convenient. It's not comfortable, let's be real. It requires a boatload of courage. But the truth is, it is happening because it's a knock from that zone of genius side. And it's time for you to step into and own that work at another level. So I'm sending you a great big virtual hug in a weird way on video, sending you lots of love and lots of courage on this journey. And I look forward to connecting and staying connected. So from me to you today, take care. Bye now.